So I guess I need to let people know what was the cost going to be to chiropractic had they made the improvement. And this would have been 1990. The grandpa presented to the Parker Chiropractic College, and that was in Dallas, Texas. The cost would have been the price of my education. Had they put it in, then I would have gone to chiropractic college in the school, the college that they put it in to. And he talked to more than one, but the closest he ever came was down in Dallas, and he was in Granbury, Texas. So all I know, and I'll give you a couple links, but Grandpa reported to me that he said he worked on everybody in the room, starting with the torticollis case. And he said they were just on fire. They were on fire. They wanted this. And he said that's all well and good, but he said you can't teach what's right in one room and what's wrong down the hall. He said if you put this in, he said then I will have to weed the chaff. Is what he told them. He was going to make the entire curriculum at Parker Chiropractic College in Dallas, Texas, accurate and complete. That's what he would have done. And he would have thrown out the junk and the garbage, which is still being taught by Life University. And that's Marietta, Georgia, which he knew Sid Williams. And Palmer in Davenport, Iowa, etc., etc. I can't even tell you how many schools he contacted. And I made contact with the board here. That was 2000. Anyway, so the cost, had they done it, would have been the cost of my license, basically. So at that point in time, I don't know, $100,000, $200,000 is what it would have cost them. They pulled back, and I'll give you the document on my website, the correspondence between James Parker and Grandpa after the presentation. Yeah. And they never did it. So at that point in time, me and Grandpa had already been talking about, he's wanting me to be a chiropractor because he thought that, they'd listen to me. He figured. And my cousin Joel had the option to become a chiropractor or an osteopath. And he became an osteopath, and he had his license. But ultimately it came down to between the two kids that learned it, because there was 2 out of 8 that learned it, grandkids. Grandpa told Mom on more than one occasion, just, out of the blue, and she made sure to tell me about it. He said that, he thought that Tammy would do more with it than Joel ever would, is what he said. And I ended up with the bones. They're not in here right now, but, I'll grab it. Do I have them? They're in the other room. Let me go ahead and get some of them. I'll show you the bones real quick. They're real. They're my inheritance from Grandpa. And he said that he thought that I would do more with them than Joel would. That's an entire spine. Well, the top vertebra is over here. This is the atlas to the this one right here. Real quick, you can see the 4 facet design right there. Anatomy textbooks are wrong. They're saying there's only 2. I've blogged about it on at least 2 different occasions. And then I've got the skull and another complete set. Atlas, axis, and 3rd and 4th that are fused. So that's my inheritance from Grandpa. The skull came from a colleague of his. Told me a story about it. One day he was helping this guy move, and he seen it. He was taking an interest in it, and the chiropractor says, "You want that?" He says, "Sure, can I have it?" And he said, "Sure, take it." So I guess that was the cost of him helping him move. And then the spine probably same thing, but I'm not for sure exactly. They were tools in Grandpa's trade, and he was a chiropractor. He got his license. He graduated from Palmer School of Chiropractic in 1925. He immediately came to Shawnee, Oklahoma, and went to work in his sister Ruth's office. I'll give you the link to that too. She had one of the nicest clinics in Oklahoma City. And I'll give you the link into the history page too. So, anyway, so Grandpa discovered what he discovered. He tried to raise their standards. He was published in the journals. They knew that he got results when nobody else did. He had a referral practice on the west side of downtown Fort Worth, and on the day that John F. Kennedy was shot, Grandpa was actually waiting on him. I found the man that he sent a letter out. Marion C. Ladwig, labor judge in Washington, D.C. I'm sure he's gone now, but I talked to him before he died, and I guess his mom had a problem, and Grandpa had helped him. So, when John F. Kennedy was going to Texas, he sent out a letter. Hey, you need to go down and you need to go over to Fort Worth and see this guy, Earl Creighton. And I talked to him. He said, I never got the letter back. So he said, I know that they got it. No, I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist on this one and say that Kennedy was shot because of my grandfather's work. I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to tell you that on the day that Kennedy was shot, Grandpa was waiting on him. And he got a call from Marion that told him to stick around the house just in case he shows up. Had John F. Kennedy showed up that day, the world would be a different place, I guarantee you. Anyway, so, and I'll send you, I'll give you a link into a newspaper article on that too that my mom wrote about. Anyway, so I ended up with the work. In 1991, I'm working on the future board president of the chiropractic examiners here in Oklahoma. All I told him is I'm Creighton's going to know the work. He didn't ask me another question. He just wanted it fixed. He knew he had a problem. He was hurting. That's when I come to find out the chiropractors are hurting. Chiropractors are hurting. And Tubio's hurting too, I'll guarantee you that. They're not working on each other so much out in the open because I've criticized them in the fact that, you know what, I don't get worked on, but maybe twice a year, maybe, and only when I have a problem. And it's not very often. Anyway, so I found out these chiropractors are hurting. I worked on 3 different chiropractors. 2 of them here in Enid, 1 of them in Tulsa. And I'll give you a link into my page on my website that links to all of them. And inevitably where they ended up. So, the one that, was in the court proceeding, the temporary court injunction hearing, he was their expert witness. What I find interesting, and you're going to think I'm cruel on this one, but apparently he fell down some stairs and brain injury and died. Karma does exist. Mm-hmm. Yep. And a woman, when I went down to Dallas to depose their expert in the right before the permanent injunction hearing, I found this woman. She's a type for Grandpa. She was very spiritually minded, and I was visiting with her in her house. I remember this moment. She looks over to her fireplace, and I'm like, she's looking at something, and I'm like looking over there. She said, I'm like, what are you looking at? She said, you don't see her? I said, no, what are you talking about? And what she told me was, she said that there was this woman, angel. She said she'd seen angels before. She said she'd never seen one quite so big. She said, she's formidable. She said, you're definitely protected, is what she told me. I got goosebumps right now. Anyway, so you can believe in that kind of stuff or not. I'm a skeptic on that kind of stuff too, but I'm also spiritually minded, and I have seen the future on occasion. But I don't understand it all. I just know that God has told people before. One woman, she was a minister, and she was prepared and willing to go anywhere in the world, anywhere in the entire world, to get the help that she needed, and she was in horrible pain. And the message that she received was, what you need is here. And then she found my pages on the internet. I was about 5 miles from her on the same road, actually. And then I had another woman in the last couple of years, same thing. She was told, open your mind. And the most recent one, she's told me, she said she was procrastinating. She said she's not much of a procrastinator. But she was going to get a hold of this chiropractor, and she just never did it. She said she figured there was a reason for it. And then her and her daughter or sister, anyway, family member, were talking about me. They'd heard about when I got sued and that kind of stuff, and they knew that I was open-minded. And the very next day, she gave me a call. And she said she thinks it's a God thing. So anyway, what I'm saying is that the higher power, you can call it what you want to, but whatever, higher power is out there that's outside of us is taking an interest. And he or she, whatever you want to call it, is aware of my presence here. And she is guiding people. So all I know is that my intention is to change the world. And I know that health and healing is very simplistic. It makes me sad when people are duped and lied to. But anyway, back to the cost, I guess. Right before I got sued for practicing chiropractic without a license, I offered it to them for $5 million. Then we're talking research and development money. I talked to a friend later. He said, do you have any idea what the medical institute pays for a pill, a single pill, like $800 million kind of stuff? I said, yeah, I got a pretty good idea. He said, you underquoted. I said, yeah. He said, you should have at least said at a minimum 25 million is what he was telling me. Anyway, what I know is this much. The chiropractors right now are in a position, I've got, chiropractor up in New York. He kept calling me. Wanted to get involved in the writing of the textbook, whatever. Another chiropractor from Georgia called me and said that they're all, a bunch of wolves in sheep's clothing. Don't trust any of them. They'll hand you your hat and send you out the door. And now I've got people, and I'm not going to say he's a good guy or a bad guy, but there's a chiropractor in Ohio that would come to Enid and learn it if I had a non-disclosure agreement in place. The problem that I have is that I have a problem with it my grandfather's work being considered or called chiropractic after the history that's gone between our family and chiropractic. It's my call. It's not chiropractic. And it will never be chiropractic. No. So what it's come down to is that they're going to have to be out in the open. They're going to have to admit their mistakes. And they're going to have to consider a realistic fee. They can either work with me and help me help people by referrals and such. They can get in on it. But they're going to be nerve signal interference specialists. But I personally don't think chiropractors are worthy. They've been brainwashed already. It does not sit well with me having to fight the ingrained, brainwashing that they've already been, spoon-fed and guzzled down. I don't like it. Anyway, it'll never be chiropractic. That's my hold up right now. We're having it out. We're bringing it out. And I need, what I want right now is I want a hearing in front of the Senate, the Congress, whatever. Like, Mark Zuckerberg, got drug in before the, United States government in order to answer some questions and hash some issues out. That's what I want. We need to have it out in the open. We need to have it out in the open in a setting that's proper and establish the true authority. I've already done that in blogs, my website, and the fact that the chiropractors refuse to debate with me. They won't do it. They can't answer me, and they wiggle like a worm on a hook, and now I got Tubio. And his Tubio lift, it's MIA. Because the animal cracker didn't know better. But thank you, Doug. I'll say that. If you want to give homage, you need to do a bow and make an approach. I'm surprised you haven't already. I'm very approachable. But when I have cause to be upset, I am the lion and the dragon. There is no tougher metal than that. And I'm a redhead. It is what it is.